Hey everyone, welcome to With the Messenger. My name is Whitney, and this will be your December 2024 forecast for all signs. I can't believe it's the end of the year already, but I am glad. There's so much fresh energy that will be ushering in 2025. And for a lot of us now being adults, being able to at least the millennial generation and having more access and knowledge to the stars and the planets and how they affect us. I think there's a lot that we could do as a collective for ourselves. So championing that energy, right? I won't stay too long on the intro. We're going to talk about 7 transits and how it will affect you. Of course, there'll be more transits, but these are the ones that I feel are ones that you need to pay attention to because of the effect or the cycle that it initiates for you and the guidance that you would need in order to navigate it. Okay, so we're going to start off first with Aries. The first transit I want to talk about is the new moon that happened in Sagittarius on December the 1st. I'm recording this on the 2nd. You'll probably get it the 3rd. But it doesn't matter because this energy could play out for 2 weeks to 6 months. New moons, you plant the seed, you start having the conversations, you start initiating things, and then, you start getting information. And then by the time 6 months come down the line, then you're able to see the real fullness of this energy, right? If you have your sun, moon, and rising between 6 to 12 degrees of Aries, then this energy of the new moon was trying to you. So whatever happened was happening for or whatever is about to play out in the next 2 weeks to 6 months is happening for your highest good. Okay, trines are the nature of Jupiter. They're very beneficial. Okay, and for you, because it's in your 9th house, then it's about putting you amongst people from different cultures, a self-study course or some type of higher education, maybe mentors or gurus or people of charitable nature, them wanting to assist you somehow, getting the opportunity to travel somewhere different from where you're used to, even meeting someone, romantically speaking, from a different background than yours. Okay, and that could be in any sense of the word, religion, culture, whatever. This could also be I feel also it could be a time where if you put yourself out there, you can prove yourself. Okay, prove how knowledgeable you are, because the 9th house is also the house of celebrations, accomplishments, achievements, right? Some of you could be even getting married. That could be a thing. The 9th house is a house that has to do with legalities. If you were a part of any legal situation, this could be where you start to see it turning in your favor, or if it's some type of new case you initiate or someone else initiates it. But let's say they were just being petty, then you don't have to worry about anything because this new moon will get you what it is that you deserve. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is the Venus-Pluto conjunction. So Venus is going to meet up with Pluto now in the sign of Aquarius every year. Okay, Venus will enter into the sign of Aquarius on December the 6th or 7th, depending on where you are in the world. And it's going to immediately have a conjunction to Pluto. Now, Venus is a fast-moving planet, right? So its effect you can feel very early, right? It's not going to be like other ones where you have to wait a long time. So especially if you have any planets between, I would say, 0 to 4 or 5 degrees Venus, 0 to 4 to 5 degrees of Aquarius or Aries, then you feel this, especially if you're Aries, then your sun, moon, and rising, for instance, then it's this energy sextiles you. So sextiles are the nature of Venus itself, and that's when an opportunity is presented to you. So this opportunity will be presented to you from your 11th house. And shout out to my Aries sun friend slash client. He just sent me a message while recording this. So hey, you're gonna know who I'm talking about once you look at this. So from your Aquarius house, this is what I'm saying. I feel like someone could try to help you or want to help you in the month of December. In the first 10 days of December, you could definitely have, or let me say 14 days, right? Because like I said, the effects of the new moon, you could start to see the themes within 2 weeks. So from the 11th house is a house of our benefactors. 11th house is a house of our aspirations, our gains, long-term gains from our career, or aspirations for our career or business, or just, you know, the dreams and goals that we have for our life. That's why the star card in the tarot is normally associated with our hopes and wishes. Okay. And this could also be like a group of people. Maybe you get the opportunity to work with the right group of people. Because again, it's a sextile, so the opportunity is there, but you're going to have to be the one who takes action. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about, so that's between your 11th house and your first, that's all happening in your 11th house. But like I said, if you have planets within those first 5 degrees of Aries, this energy heavily sextiles you. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about is, that's 1, 2, 3, Mars retrograde in Leo. So the same day that Venus moves into Pluto, same day that Venus conjuncts Pluto, Mars retrogrades, stations retrograde in the sign of Leo. They're in your 5th house. Very, very interesting. You could be revisiting, I feel, past projects. Now, you have your Dharma houses affected this month. Well, I won't say affected, but activated this month, right? The 9th house with that new moon inside, you're inside season, and then Mars there in the sign of Leo for the entire month in your 5th house. So the 5th house is the house of good karma. The 5th house is the house of our business ideas. It's the house of taking risk. Okay, I would say for you, I think it's not, if you want to take a risk, let it be on old projects, because retrograde is a time of introspection, it's a time of revision, right? So if you do want to take risks, I would say let it be something from the past that you're working on. Don't try to initiate something new under this Mars retrograde there in your 5th house. Okay, it would eventually, I didn't write down the date because it'll be a quick energy, but it will eventually, Mars will eventually oppose Venus. And so that would be between your 11th house and your 5th house. And as it relates to those people who you have some type of community with, or you network with, or you're a part of a team with, that could be a clashing of ideas. Okay, so just with this Mars retrograde in your 5th house for the month of December, expect to go back over your ideas, your projects, right? Because the 5th house could also be associated with projects. Let me just, yeah, it's personal projects. Okay, business ventures, the way you express yourself also. So from at least those point of view, because we have the 11th house activated by Venus there, and it will create that opposition, I feel like just be open to hearing what others have to say. Don't think your way is the only way. And also don't be scared to express yourself, right? There's different ways we can express ourselves. We could be assertive or we could be aggressive. So it depends. We do still have Mercury retrograde there in your 9th house until the 15th. Okay, that's what I was saying. Within the first 2 weeks at least, it's a time where things from the past could come up, ideas, people from the past who want to help you, people, things from the past that you've done, that you've studied, that you've went before. All of these things could come up, and it could really be beneficial for you. So don't, yes, the new moon wants to plant new seeds, but it will be new seeds based on past things. And that's why my new moon inside reading that I did, I titled it A Blast from the Past, because whatever seeds are being planted for this new moon, because there's this retrograde signature that's being activated within the 2 weeks with it, with Mars retrograde in Leo, and Mercury that was retrograde, Jupiter that was retrograde. there on the 1st, when it actually happened, it's things from the past, okay, that could come up for you all. Now, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I spoke about Mercury retrograde as well. You might have some delays when it comes to traveling if you need to travel for anything. Just to make sure that you have your documents all put together in a row, because like I said, Mercury retrograde there in your 9th house. If is there anything that has to do with studying, higher level of education, court stuff, just be patient with yourself. They will get sorted out. They might cause some delays, but you just have to slow down to make sure that you're doing everything the right way. On December the 15th, when Mercury stations direct, we'll also have a Gemini full moon, which I think is super powerful. I didn't check to see the exact time within the two to see which one will happen before the next, to see if it's going to be a Mercury retrograde that rules this full moon, or if it's just going to be Mercury in Sag that rules this full moon, basically, right? But the ruler is Mercury in Sagittarius, so the ruler is again there in your 9th house, and it's connecting to the full moon in Gemini in your 3rd house. Again, 3rd house has to do with our projects, what we study, but like shorter course study, like a certification versus like a full-blown degree, right? It has to do with traveling too, but shorter distance travel, okay? So for you, because the full moon has to do with receiving clarity, illuminations, breakthroughs, breakdowns where necessary, these will all happen in relation to 3rd house things. Maybe you realize that, you know, the short-term study that you're doing, this is something that you want to take up long-term, okay? Because the Mercury, the ruler, is there in your 9th house. Maybe you realize you can't just, there could be restrictions in your local environment, your community, your neighborhood, that you may have to travel further. You may not want to do it, right? Because that's in the opposing energy there, right? But it is something that you have to do for your benefit. Gemini energy sextiles you, so this is happening. Let me give you the exact degree. 23 degrees. So if you have placements between 20 to 26 degrees Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, this sextiles you, okay? This is a very fortunate time for you so far. All the up to the 15th, all the transits that I'm speaking about, they either sextile or trine you. So please take advantage. Rewind this, take a pen and a paper if you need to, because this is a time where you could really plant good seeds for yourself in terms of your projects that you want to take off, in terms of how you want to express yourself, in terms of travel, and in terms of study, okay? I don't know how I'm gonna do all 12 of these. But let's see, maybe I cut it in half. The next one I want to talk about is the sun moving into your 10th house. The sun moving into your 10th house. Now, you recently had Venus there, right? Up to the 7th of December, you had Venus there in your 10th house. So your public image, your relations with people in authority, those may have gotten a bit of ease, right? And then now with the sun moving in there, well, where the sun goes is where your focus kind of is at where the sun is, right? For a time being throughout the year, and or throughout the astrological year. And I feel with that help from that benefactor, those seeds that were planted with the new moon in your 9th house, Mercury retrograde there, you're going over certain things, the full moon in your 3rd house, I feel those all will be connected to what you do next in your public life. So whether that be an actual career, or that just be a certain status changing for you, because the 10th house is also a status. So if you're married and you get divorced, that's a change in your status. If you're single and you get married, that's a change in your status. If you are a boss and then you go to work for someone, you go from an employer to an employee, that's a change in status. You know what I mean? So let me just see some more 10th house things here. It also has to do with business ventures, your career path and choices. So I feel your shift, your focus shifts now to your career once the 21st of December hits, okay? And remember, I also spoke about, accomplishments. Well, the 10th house is somewhere that you see certain accomplishments. I spoke about that from the 9th house. You receive it in the 9th house, but then it's displayed and it becomes kind of like a permanent part of you there in your 10th house. So you could be experiencing some type of celebration as well. Okay. Now this energy does square you depending on where you are, while the sun travels through the sign of Capricorn. It would square your sun, moon, and rise in Aries. I just feel this will be a bit of a discomfort for you to grow. Pluto is no longer there in your 10th house, and so you could just be finding your legs, right, in this newfound empowerment that Pluto has left behind in your 10th house. Or you might just be starting to see what Pluto was doing there for you in your 10th house by the seeds that are planted or the conversations that you start to have. Okay. And then on the 24th of December, I want you to think back to December, between December 12th to 18th of this year, there was a Jupiter-Saturn square. Gemini, Jupiter, Saturn, Pisces. So your 12th house and your 3rd house, a square between the two. Now 12th house is long distance travel. 3rd house is short distance travel. 3rd house could also be a younger sibling. 12th house has a lot to do with our subconscious mind, whereas 3rd house is our logical thinking. So there could have been potentially, maybe some of you were going through imposter syndrome. Maybe some of you were doubting your abilities. Okay. Your mental processes may not have felt as sharp as they need to. Okay. And there's a square here again. So maybe back then you were put to the test for something, and those mental processes and stuff kind of didn't allow you to display what you really know or who you really are. I feel this is another opportunity for you to get it right. Okay, like the second chance. It's gonna happen once more again next year, but this is your second chance to get it right here. Is there anything else I feel with those energies? If you had writer's block, because the 9th house as well with that new moon there, if you're a writer, it's a great time for you to write. In the next 6 months, have some type of business idea. So from that perspective too, yeah. Some of you may meet a foreigner, because the 12th house does have to do with foreign things, or you want to go to a foreign country, but there's a language barrier, because the 3rd house has to do with language too. Okay. And even the 9th house has to do with like cross-cultural learning, which could have to do with, someone that speaks a different language or a place with a different language. So let's move on to Taurus. I'm gonna be here for a while, aren't I? I should probably do this in batches. Okay, Taurus, we have on the 1st of the month, December, which already left. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get this on December the 3rd. But the energy of this new moon that occurred on the 1st could be felt for 2 weeks. You start to see the themes and the completion of it within 6 months. Okay, so that happened in your 8th house. This could have planted the seeds for you all in terms of shared resources, shared responsibility, joint ventures. You might partner with someone. You did have that new moon there in your 7th house. Okay, so maybe you might find a business partner or just someone that you sign a contract with. Okay, and for you all, I feel that new moon made you question, or at least it's going to make you question, if the people that you're doing business deals with, if the people that you're getting into a relationship or you are in a relationship with, that you're sharing responsibilities with, is the load equal, or do you all have the same views or visions for the future? And then try to create an alignment, right? Whether that be you having to move away from those people, places, or things because it's not in alignment, or you getting up to speed to be in alignment with one another. Okay. On the 2nd, we have the Venus Pluto conjunction. Venus moves into your 10th house on December the 6th or 7th, depending on where you are in the world. And it immediately makes a conjunction to Pluto. So for the next 18 to 19 years, whenever Venus is in the sign of Aquarius, it's going to eventually conjunct with Pluto. And where Venus goes, she tries to give its blessings in love, in luxury, in finances. So for you, it's going to try to empower you through your public image, through your career, through your business venture, through the way that you relate to people in authority. It might even try to give you a place of a point of authority, right? So because it's at 0 degrees, you could start to see with this conjunction and the days surrounding this, because Venus is a very fast planet, what that could be like for you for the next 20 years. Okay, what Pluto in Aquarius could be like for you. It's definitely trying to improve things for you when it comes to your career and your public image. I'm just looking at my other themes for the 10th house. Some of you could rise to fame. Some of you could get into politics and the government. If that's your thing, okay, you could have a certain level of status and prestige because it's Venus and Pluto. It wants to transform you by giving you these Venusian things: power, money, fame. You could also receive honors and awards. So this could be a time, especially if you have if you have any placement specifically in Aquarius, your midheaven in Aquarius, 0 to, I'll say 4 or 5 degrees, you could feel this energy this year immediately, right? And if, for instance, your rising sun or moon is between those degrees as well, you will feel it as well, but you feel it as a square. And so with squares, it's the nature of Mars. It brings forth a decision to be made. It brings forth action and more energy needed to be taken. It's a bit of discomfort. It's a decisive energy, right? And so maybe because it's 0 degrees and it's so new and fresh, you don't know what it's like to be in this energy. But because Venus is there, it's for your benefit, okay? And it will be short term. So because it's Venus, it's very quick moving energy. Next thing we want to talk about is Mars being retrograde in a sign of Leo on that same day. So for fixed signs, December is a huge month because we have that Venus-Pluto conjunction, and then Mars-Venus opposition, and then Mars retrograde in Leo. You know what I mean? I was Scorpio rising myself. Am I looking forward to this energy? We'll see when it comes. But for you, that retrograde is going to happen in your 4th house. So where Venus is up there in the top of your sky, giving you power, giving you prestige, advancing your career, putting you in a place of a position of authority, we have Mars then going retrograde for the entire month of December, well, from the 6th onwards, in your 4th house, saying, okay, when it comes to home, we may need to dial back how much energy we give to home, and then that could create some chaos and conflict at home, right? Because then you're pulling back your energy there. The next person might not take that to this, okay? There could also be people in your home life, people represented by the 4th house, people in your private life at least, that they could be dredging up things from the past, right? Because retrograde is past energy. There could be things around your home that needs to get done, renovations and so forth, things breaking down that you're like, I don't have the time to deal with this. Do I even have the money to deal with this? Because we will have that full moon in Gemini in your 2nd house. I'm going to talk about that next, which shines a light on your financial affairs. And remember, we just had that new moon in your 8th house, which has to do with like shared resources and joint ventures. So for you, there's a lot about going back over either things that you said you would have done, Mars retrograde there in your 4th house, or promises that you've made, Mercury retrograde there in your 8th house, that joint, you know. So especially if you live with someone, you might go over things that were said. That new moon, like I said, in your 8th house had a lot to do with, do we want the same things? And so I don't know, there could be maybe some goal that you made with this when Mars moved into Leo, and as it relates to home life with someone, and you might go over that now and say, yeah, I can't really keep up my end of that. Okay, that's a possibility, because the fourth house has also do with or private life or downtime. I know the sixth house is more about her health, but just look after your emotional body, I would say. Okay, because we do also have that eighth house activation, which has to do with the new moon, that has to do with not our subconscious mind, but our traumas and the ways that we deal with those traumas. Okay, the ways that we deal with things that we keep hidden and repressed. The next one is the full moon in Gemini, happening on December the 15th in your second house. So things could become very clear about where you stand financially. Okay, and because Mercury also goes direct that same day, and it being in your eighth house, joint financial resources, responsibilities. I mean, someone told you they were going to give you an inheritance. You were supposed to get some type of tax payout. Maybe now you finally get it. Maybe because the full moon is happening with its ruler in your eighth, so in your second, so the ruler in the eighth. This definitely would have to do with your finances as it relates to what you share with someone else. No way around that. It's going to have to be around what you share with someone else. Okay. And for some of you, because the second house does have to do with our innate value, what's internal, that's changing for you with this full moon. Like you're gonna realize just how much you're worth. Okay, and then that changes the way that you interact with others, and I kind of was alluding to that in the beginning with the new moon, right? Especially with Venus there in your 10th house too. That's kind of like loving up your public image and who you are. You're really going to say, okay, maybe that what I was settling to do with someone else, that's not really representative of my worth. Okay, what I was accepting from this person, whereas I'm giving more, maybe this won't really work. That person needs to also give. Okay, the sun moves into the sign of Capricorn on December the 21st, and this will be in your 9th house. Some of you could now have a focus on what it is that you want to study, or opportunities for study come up, and it's going to be like a little longer term study, not just a short study. Okay, some of you may also go into just self-study. You start to study for some time. You might want to travel. I mean, the holidays is coming up, but you might want to travel to other places. A mentor or guru could give you some really good advice, show you where you should put your attention, what you should focus on. You could have to focus on some type of legal case, have to have some dealings with HR. Doesn't mean it's bad, right? The sun isn't necessarily bad. And so as the sun moves through the sign of Capricorn, depending on your degree in Taurus, then that energy trines you. So it's very beneficial energy for you as it relates to 9th house matters, traveling documents, court, legalities, HR, study, those type of things, right? They all look good for you in the second half of December. The last thing I'm going to mention, no, this is not the last. I have two more things to mention. The Jupiter-Saturn square. It happened back around August 12th to the 18th. So I want you to think back then what was happening for you in regards to your Gemini and your Pisces house. So that's your 2nd house and your 11th house. Okay. From your 2nd house perspective, it would have to do with your assets, your self-worth, what you receive from your family, the way you make money, the way you earn money. And then from your 11th house perspective, it would be the people that you're friends with. So, or an older sibling. Did an older sibling ask you for money? Did you go over it for money? Because squares, there's a bit of tension. Friends, did you get into it with friends for money? Did you not receive a raise that maybe that you wanted? It's because the 11th house could have to do with long-term gains from our career. Let me just check more themes for the 11th house. Did you not get the recognition that you believe that you deserved? Okay, or did you not ask for it? Put yourself out there for it. Put more energy towards it. Okay, because like I said, the second house has to do with our self-worth and our innate value. Okay, and maybe some of you, you know, there's somewhere you could maybe make money online. 11th house does have to do with social media, but maybe you weren't taking advantage of it, and the idea came back then, and this is another chance for it again, and another chance as well is going to come up next year when Jupiter goes direct. Okay, there's also a new moon in the sign of Capricorn on the 30th, and that will be the second new moon, which is a blue moon, you know, possibilities. So Capricorn, the Capricorn house got lit up a lot this year because we had 2 full moon there too. We had Pluto leaving your Capricorn house, and like I said, this energy trines you from your 9th house. So there's a lot about what you have to learn and where you have to go, and people who want to help you that is trying to come through for you in the year of 2024 before it ends. So take advantage of it. I just want to say the degree is going to be at 9 degrees. So if you have your rising sign anywhere between 6 degrees to 12 degrees of Taurus, then this will directly trine you. So very beneficial information. Of course, when that time comes closer, I may put out a video for it. I mean, it's the holidays, so I'll see. Okay. But go back to to all the things that I said about the sun there in Capricorn in 21st. Some of those themes would apply. Okay. Geminis. I'm 31 minutes in and I'm only on the 3rd sign. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, so let's start off the month. We have on the 1st of December the new moon that happened in the sign of Sagittarius at 9 degrees. So if you had your sun, moon, or rising between 6 to 12 degrees, then this energy directly was opposite to you, right? But either way, you could have felt it. And there could be a new start within the next 2 weeks or 6 months that happens in the sign of, that happens in the life of the persons represented, or a person represented by your 7th house. A committed partner, an ex-committed partner, a business partner, an ex-committed business partner, an open enemy. Someone that you have some type of contract or legal agreement with, okay, because the 7th house is also represented by contracts. I think the 7th house also represents our second child, so if you have a second child too. All right, so there's a new start there in the lives of that person. They may also, because of the degree that the new moon was on, they could also within the next 2 weeks to 6 months give you some type of award or opportunity, golden opportunity, or they are receiving an award or golden opportunity and you benefit somehow from it. Okay, we have Mercury retrograde until the 15th, right? And Mercury is your ruler, so you'll always feel it when Mercury goes retrograde, regardless of what signs it's in. And if you haven't had any type of old partner, someone that you had a contract with, or business partner or romantic partner come back. Well, I'm recording this on the 2nd December, so there might still be time if that is what you want, of course. On the 6th to the 7th of December, depending on where you are in the world, Venus conjuncts with Pluto there in Aquarius. So Aquarius energy trines you. This is happening in your 9th house. You could get an opportunity to travel abroad. It could feel a little bit sudden. Venus energy is very quick, right? It moves fast. So for you, I feel you could have some type of mentor, guru, someone with a level of status that wants to bless you here, honestly. You could receive some type of award, because the 9th house gives awards. Or you could graduate or something, get married, potentially even, because the ninth house does have to do with like courts and also I feel legal agreements too. So all these things, you know, Venus is a planet that has to do with money, luxury, love. Okay, so with it partnering up with Pluto, that's an empowerment for some time that it's trying to give you. If you have your sun, moon, or rising in Gemini, like I said, anywhere between 0 to 4 or 5 degrees, then you immediately feel this energy of that Venus Pluto conjunction. Okay. Again, think back to December of 2020 when Saturn and Jupiter conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius. This Venus Pluto conjunction will trigger that point again. So it's what Pluto is trying to, or what your Aquarius house is trying to transform over the next 18 years. That story continues to play out for you all right? So like I said, travel, studies, self-studies, pilgrimage, some type of awakening, some type of changing your belief system. Those are all things that are possible. All right, on the same day, Mars goes retrograde in the sign of Leo. Okay, that will be in your third house. Be careful while driving. Take your time on the road. It is a retrograde after all, which means you need to slow down. Okay. There could be changes in the life of a sibling, especially one younger than you, or extended family members, cousins, aunts, nieces, nephews. They could be a bit erratic, especially if they have a Leo sun, moon, or rising, right? That means they're definitely, so look to those to be the people who, if anything, you might have a bit of misunderstanding with them, because the third house does have to do with our communication. So Mars retrograde there, that could be, think about a Knight of Wands in tarot, that could be real impulsive dialogue between you and that person, okay? Or they could just be the one that tries to initiate it. I personally, if I were you, I wouldn't give them time of day. I'm a Gemini Sun and Moon. I know personally I will remind myself, not my circles, not my monkeys, okay? I'm just saying. Eventually this will form, Mars retrograde will form an opposition to Venus. Okay, so if anything, you could go at it over differences in beliefs, because Venus is there in your ninth house, which has to do with our beliefs or morals. So yeah. The next thing that I want to go over is 6 Mars. Well, I spoke about, no, I didn't speak about this. On the 15th of December, we have the Gemini full moon happening in your first house. I feel mutable signs and fixed signs are the ones who are having a very big end to the year, okay? Because you have angular houses activations just like fixed signs. So the full moon in your first house, you know, you have that new moon in your seventh house, and then you have a square between your 10th house and your first house. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. The full moon in your first house is changing, or at least allowing you to shed or release a part of who you are, whether that was a physical identity, change your hair, change the way you dress, change your food style, your habits, whatever made up who you are. Okay, whenever people meet you for the first time, they're like, oh, you know, that was something that stood out about you. That could be something that you change about yourself, or that could be something that you have some type of realization about, in terms of, is this empowering me, or is this keeping me back, type thing. Is this something that I was insecure about, but maybe it's something that I really need to empower myself about, that type of thing. Okay, so as a result of that, the way that you interact with others will change. What could bring this about is someone else. And the reason why I say that is because Mercury, though stationing direct the same day of this full moon, is still in Sagittarius. It is in the house of the person across from you. So there could be some type of conversation that you have with someone else that brings about this shift in mindset. Whether that means you digging your heels in and like, yeah, this definitely is who I am. I won't compromise on this. I won't people please, or realizing I need to dial it back a bit. Okay, just saying. Next we have the sun moving into the sign of Capricorn on December 21st. So that will be in your 8th house. There's a lot that has been happening in the sign of Capricorn. We had 2 full moons, now we have a new moon. We have Pluto that has exited there for good. So your focus now shifts on what you share with others. Okay. And that could potentially be what happens with that full moon in your first house with the ruler in the 7th, okay? Because I don't know, maybe you may need to change the way that you share stuff with someone else. You read it, whether it's you giving more or you giving less, okay? Or you receiving more or you receiving less, all right? So your focus will be on trauma, childhood wounds. Your focus will be on spiritual awakening. Pay attention to your dreams. Your focus will be on shared responsibilities, joint ventures, perhaps loans, taxes. Okay, I know for people in the US, this initiates a time of, soon to initiate a time of tax season for them. So they might be having discussions around that. And then we have on December the 24th, Christmas Eve, Jupiter retrograde there in your first house, squaring Saturn in your 10th house. I want you to think back to August 12th to the 18th, what was happening in your life then, because those themes come back around now. And it will happen again next year when Jupiter goes direct. They will square off again. So this is like a second chance based off the first chance. This is like a part 2 to the story. Mars now squares are the nature of Mars. So this might not be something that you really want to deal with. Okay, you're directly involved because right now you're embodying Jupiter's energy. Jupiter is in your first house. Wherever Jupiter goes though, it protects. Even if it's not at its utmost strength, it's still Jupiter. So because it's squaring something in your 10th house, I believe it's your public image, your reputation, your relationship to those in authority or others' relationship to you as an authority figure that is trying to expand. It is trying to change. But because Saturn is also involved, there's a level of discipline or even a feeling of restriction that comes with it. Okay, maybe you want to pop off, crash out, whatever it is, but you're under a microscope with Saturn there, and you have to think about how this would affect you as a leader, as an authority figure, your public image, even how this would affect certain business ventures that you want, to be a part of. So it's not going to feel easy. Jupiter is trying to expand you. And given that this is a retrograde portion, right? Because I don't think back then in August, yes, it was already retrograde back then. But Saturn, no. Let me verify. Jupiter retrograde. Nope, it was not retrograde back then. Saturn was retrograde back then, right? So when Saturn is retrograde, you don't have as much free will. But Saturn isn't retrograde now. No, it's Jupiter that's retrograde. So this is more about you, okay? And that full moon there on the 15th, it should have already started to let you see these are the things about yourself that you have to change if you want to accomplish a certain thing. So you see how these things connect the dots here. On the 30th of December, there is a new moon, like I said, in your 8th house. So you could have some new starts with mortgages, with banks, in your healing journey. If you are a Gemini rising, sun, or moon, I would say more so Gemini sun and Gemini rising, there is a show called Unpredictable. imprisoned, you might want to watch it, because Saturn is there in your 10th house, and Saturn does have to do with the father, and the 10th house does have to do with the father. I feel like there are some father wounds which directly play into our relationship to people in authority too, that we as Geminis have to heal. And there's a show that I watched, and it was eye-opening. And of course, for me personally, I've already started that introspection process about myself and how I deal with others. So just sharing that as a tip for anyone, if you would wish to watch it, because it could be somewhat useful. Now, the new moon there in your 8th house could also mean new business ventures, a new way in which you share responsibility or share finances. Okay. I think that I'm gonna do 4 of these. Let me pull for you all. Just 2 cards for what the month of December will be like. And this is for Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Month of December. 5:36. Right time. Ooh, yes. Empress, hello. And the 6 of Pentacles. Well, it's receiving season for y'all. I love to see it. I really do love to see it. It's receiving season. Okay. People with this King of Wands and this Knight of Wands here, it's telling me people are coming towards you to give you things. It's you getting inspired on ways how to make money. Okay. As a Gemini Sun, Moon, and Rising, Gemini Sun and Moon for me. I love to see this energy. All right, y'all. Until next time, be blessed.